It's like the media has an allergic reaction anytime someone brings up plain old common sense, and Karoline Leavitt is giving them a full-on flare-up. She's not just standing behind the podium as Trump's press secretary. She's flipping the dynamic entirely. In record time, she's shown she's not there to play along with spin. When reporters deliver their usual talking points, Karoline doesn't blink. She hits back with sharp, fact-based responses that leave the room stunned. Today, we're breaking down her latest moments that left the press speechless. And trust us, you'll be hooked from her first comeback to her final line.
White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night.
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room.
It all escalated when the Associated Press flatly refused to acknowledge the term Gulf of America, insisting on sticking with Gulf of Mexico. Their reason? That's what it's been called for centuries, and international organizations haven't recognized a change. It's a familiar tactic, clinging to precedent while ignoring what's right in front of them. And just when you thought that would be the story, a CNN reporter stepped in with a question so loaded it set off another round of fireworks. That's when things went from tense to unforgettable.
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the geographical identification name server, and Apple has recognized that, Google has recognized that, pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America, and it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world.
The issue here is bigger than one name or one question. It's that some outlets aren't acting like journalists anymore. They're behaving more like activists with press credentials. After the White House pulled AP's access, their executive editor accused the administration of punishing them for their reporting and claimed they'd fight to defend independent journalism. But let's be real. Most people aren't turning to AP for objective reporting anymore.
3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office. Can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
You can't point at the worst first. They all have a criminal record.
And welcome to the briefing
If they broke our nation's laws, yes, they are.
So instead of playing the victim, maybe it's time they return to journalism that earns public trust. Oh, and as for that reporter who didn't know illegal border crossings are actually illegal, Karoline didn't let that slide either.
And may I just point out, if you heard that type of violent, enticing rhetoric from our side of the aisle, from Republican leaders on Capitol Hill, I think there would be a lot more outrage in this room today. It's unacceptable, the comments that have been made by these Democrat leaders, and frankly, they don't even know what they're talking about. Because President Trump was elected with a mandate from the American people to make this government more efficient. He campaigned across this country with Elon Musk, vowing that Elon was going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, and the two of them, with a great team around them, were going to look at the receipts of this federal government and ensure it's accountable to American taxpayers. That's all that is happening here, and for Democrat officials to incite violence and encourage Americans to take to the streets is incredibly alarming, and they should be held accountable for that.
That kind of confusion is exactly why illegal border crossings have dropped sharply, by nearly 90%, since Trump came back into office. Just check the New York Post's reporting on it. But don't expect the major outlets to acknowledge it or give his administration any credit. The message from day one was clear. Cross illegally, and there are consequences. Suddenly, the surge turned into a slowdown. Karoline hasn't just been correcting reporters. She's been calling out the political drama too, especially the kind we saw during those anti-Dogecoin protests on the left.
So upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than 8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The DOJ team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's book.
You saw it. Non-stop outrage from left-leaning lawmakers, but let's be honest. If the same words came from someone on the right, the reaction would have been 10 times louder. Drop a like if you're tired of the double standard. Even more bizarre? Most of them didn't mention the actual policy or waste involved. They were too focused on Elon Musk and Dogecoin. But then came the moment no one saw coming. Karoline turned the spotlight on Politico, and what she revealed had everyone scrambling. It wasn't just a soundbite. It was a jaw-dropper.
A common sense approach.
The president said he would work on extending the Abraham Accords. Mr. Witkoff, and the president said he won't
Yeah, thank you. Can you direct traffic? Yeah, thanks.
Let's act like adults here. They are generously offering their time to answer your questions. You don't need to scream at them like a bunch of school children. Ouija, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Let's set the record straight. No, Politico didn't directly get $8.2 million in a lump sum. But that money came from subscriptions to their Pro Plan, a pricey service used by federal agencies. Not every dollar came from USAID, but it was all taxpayer-funded. Politico claimed, "We have never received any government funding. No subsidies, no grants, no handouts." Technically true, sure, but come on, that's still public money landing in their pocket. Some Pro subscriptions run anywhere from $122 to $15,000 per year. Do the math. How many agencies signed up to hit over $8 million? And to top it all off, we had Karoline calling it out in real time while reporters lost control and couldn't even hear their own questions over the chaos.
Question, April. So look, the president, as you know, is incredibly accessible. First day here, he wanted all of you in the Oval Office. You got a 60-minute press conference with the leader of the free world while he was simultaneously signing executive orders. I may add, that's pretty impressive. I don't think the previous office holder would be able to pull such a thing off. So look, the president is the best spokesperson that this White House has, and I can assure you that you will be hearing from both him and me as much as possible.
But Karoline didn't stop there. She closed out her first press briefing by landing a perfectly timed shot at Joe Biden, and it hit hard. It wasn't just another political jab. It was a bold move that made the room go silent. She kept her composure, delivered the line with confidence, and made it clear she wasn't there to play nice. This was her moment, and she owned it. Next voice, next voice. And that, right there, is how you handle the mainstream media. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment and let me know which moment hit hardest. And if you think your friends need to see how Karoline flipped the script, go ahead and share this video with them.